Welcome to the Healing Soul podcast, empowering wellness and oneness. I'm your host, Marybeth Rombach Nelson, and I'm super excited. I have two special guests today, Dr. Mark Sherwood and Dr. Michele Sherwood. Welcome to the Healing Soul.
Hey, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. We look forward to it.
Yes, we are excited to be here, especially when it comes to healing the soul.
I love it. Yeah, you are a wealth of wellness and vitality options. And can you explain to our listeners a little bit about what you do and what your background is?
Well, you want to do that? Yeah, so in a nutshell, I'm a naturopathic doctor and my wife's an osteopathic doctor. We run the Functional Medical Institute in Tulsa, where we really have clients all around the world. We're multi-state licensed and that nature. So probably not every state, but close, I'd
Okay.
say. And we really work on the premise of getting people well. And for us, it's kind of normal. So we deal with it from multiple different angles like nutrition, sleep, stress management, movement, areas we have control over. And then we have hormones, genetics, peptide supplementation. We kind of wrap all that around and through the emotional and physical, spiritual aspects of a person. So it's really a holistic healing place, I would suppose. And our mission statement is leading people down a pathway of true healing.
I love it. Love it. So, a simple definition of functional medicine versus regular medicine, I guess, just to make it clear to our listeners.
Well, being a medically trained doctor and a functionally trained doctor, I'm board certified in both. Mainstream medicine a lot of times ends up to be kind of like what I would refer to as a silo system. The ear, nose, and throat doctor treats the ear, nose, and throat, and then the heart doctor treats the heart, and then the dermatologist treats the skin, and then the foot doctor treats the foot. So it becomes very segregated. And we know that the whole body is body, mind, spirit, and all of the systems are definitely connected. So in functional medicine, we work really hard to get to the root of the problem, like all the way down to where that problem started and how it is seeding itself up through the systems. And, eventually the goal is to pull it out by the roots so that we can have complete and total healing.
I love it. Yeah, so you're looking at the whole person, body, mind, and soul, really.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of things, as you well know, may have started when an individual was a very small child, whether it's an emotional wound, whether it's a physical wound or an illness that has traveled with them through time. And the body never forgets. It has a memory that is unbelievable, even though the mind might put it on the back burner. The body doesn't forget that it's there. So oftentimes we have to, again, go to the root and continue to ask the questions or find out more about the history of the person, and that history solves the mystery.
I love it. So basically by finding out where it all started, do you see symptoms completely eventually go away and be relieved?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, the thing is with us, we're looking, we're not ignoring symptoms. We understand that people are going to have
Right.
them, but the question is like with conventional medicine, like you got your symptoms and you got your algorithmic decision making tree that goes down to a medication to relieve the symptoms, and that may be able to start or stop a process via a pharmaceutical drug, which may be necessary from time to time, right?
Right, right.
But then with us, we're looking at what is it that generated the symptoms in the first place. And when you go way upstream and figure that out, and you correct whatever that was and whatever things those are, the symptoms go away. And you're not worried about the diagnosis part of that. It doesn't matter because it's not part of the discussion. And so for us, Mary Beth, without question, um, people not having symptoms is normal. I mean, and for us, the greatest distractors in life are fourfold: death, disease, sickness, and lack.
So,
Right? So you're not thinking
so
about those. That's pretty good, right?
right. So homeostasis is the goal, to
Yes.
be healthy. So for your whole person approach, if our one of our listeners wanted to reach out, can they do this online consultation also? Like telehealth, do you offer that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got patients really all around the world. Some people in Australia, they want to connect with us because they want a plan to not just get themselves better, but to get their family better. Now, we might not be able to prescribe medicine, of course, across overseas, but
Right?
as far as what the human body needs to recover and heal, it is micronutrients first, and then of course macronutrients later. Yes, we've got to have water and air to breathe and drink as well, but that this body, really is dependent upon those nutrients to get well.
It makes sense. And eating healthy probably is in there too. It depends on what you put in your body. And obviously, you want to avoid chemicals and eat whole foods as much as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We call that fork curls.
Yeah.
It's most important. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really is true. The most important medical decision that you make every single day,
Mhm.
sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, and two snacks, depending upon how many times you eat in a day. That's the most important medical decision that you make because that's either giving life, nutrition, and health, or it's giving death. Fried foods, seed oils, glycated sugars, and additives and preservatives, and all those red dyes, green dyes, blue dyes, all of those things that we are now discovering are really not building a healthy human body.
Well, I feel like our body doesn't even know what to do with it. The
Yeah.
remember the no fat phase, and they just filled it with other
Mhm.
things that actually the fat itself would have been better off than all these chemicals that they plugged in its place.
Yeah, kind of what we did was, we turned over the way Americans or people around the world were taught to eat, which is just naturally off the land. And we got inundated with this indoctrinating philosophy that was completely, the antithesis of what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, you look back on it now, and I think that was one of the worst decisions in history. Honestly, do because the disease trends that we have now are we're in the worst place we've ever been in history right now. And when the
Right,
body sees those chemicals or things that were not produced, and it's brought into a position, nutritionally speaking, when you chew it, the body
right.
says, you're foreign. You're a foreign invader. So therefore, I'm orchestrating an immune system response that's driven by telling the body there's an emergency. So there's chronic systemic inflammation right there, which is tied to every disease process.
That's right. And it's just like teaching people to turn those labels over and look at the back of the
Yep.
label and, 4 or 5 ingredients in, you understand what it is. I always say if sugar is one of the first 3 ingredients, because I'm a little tight on sugar, because I see what it does to people every single
Right.
day of my life as I'm in practice or even, walking down the street. I can pick somebody who's type 2
Mm.
diabetic out of a crowd.
Okay.
Um, but back to that, looking at the label, if you get down 6, 7, 8, 9 ingredients and you don't understand what it is, can you imagine what the liver's going through or what the
Yeah.
kidneys are going through? Or, I mean, the heart's going, oh my goodness, this is a little bit, it's making my heart rate go up.
Yeah.
Right, right. I know myself probably 5 years ago, I started cooking more from scratch, going and getting farmer market stuff. And you can always, like, if you make a batch of soup, freeze it if
Mm,
it's too
yes.
much. And it's so much better than all the chemicals.
Yes, that's just absolutely great advice. Even if we just take one day where we're putting something in the freezer so that we can grab and go, or even, boiling eggs, something as simple as that, so we can grab and go and take it out of the refrigerator and then not get stuck in some sort of a nutritional crisis because our meeting went too long or the game went too long or whatever's happening in our life is just taking up so much time. We actually have already created that backup plan.
Oh, yeah, that's a good foolproof way of getting what you need and not having your sugar crash where you reach for the junk because it's convenient, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's convenient and it's also addictive. A lot of people don't know and don't realize how addictive it is. I mean, like sugar drives cocaine better than and more efficiently than, or actually,
Very
sugar drives
simple.
dopamine better than cocaine does. And then
wow.
you've got the chemical structures that are derived from the consumption of many of our altered dairy and grain products. When those hit the gut, they create exorphins, which bind to your opioid receptors. So
Okay.
when you consume processed foods, you're talking about really consuming heroin and cocaine. And again, you can find your neighborhood drug dealer down at the fast food restaurants.
Right.
And it sounds kind of cruel, but that's exactly what's happening to us right now.
So, with that, in mind, our listeners are busy people. We're on the go. Um, what is one thing that would boost our listeners' vitality if they were to pick one thing in their busy lives that they could change to either exclude something, include something? What would that be?
Man, I think honestly, it's the first meal of the day because that sometimes sets the tone.
Okay.
And I know people got to make changes. I get all that. And sometimes we
Right.
want to go like, I'm not perfect and, want to get it all right. But if you start with one meal a day and it's the first meal a day, you start yourself off on a race going in the right direction as
Okay.
opposed to going in the wrong direction and playing catch up all day. So, for us, I think, I'm just going to mention one of the things that we do sometimes, and it
Okay.
doesn't mean everybody else has to. But with our Kingdom fuel that we've used and we came up with, we did that for a reason because it's convenient, fast, it's easy. It's a whole meal, that you can drink, and it's cheap, which is like beautiful. So we're talking about
Right.
saving money and bringing in, as my wife said, micronutrients. And so, that's a great way to start. I mean, some people could even do a shake of some sort. Um, an omelet of some sort, just something that's very healthy to start with. And, again, starting off going forward sure beats starting off from way in the rear. And the
Right.
more you do that, it'll promote one more meal change, perhaps.
Yeah, you've got to start somewhere. Otherwise, you get to, it's overwhelming. But if you make
Right.
those small little changes incrementally, I think that's where success happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's going to be the state of readiness of the person, how many changes they can take on is going to be dependent upon where they are in the state of readiness to make
Right.
change. So, like you said, if we can just start with one thing, like I would probably say, bring your meals into earlier in the day. Yes, breakfast or the first meal, breaking your fast is the most important meal of the day. But then some of us are still eating at midnight and one
Yeah.
o'clock and way late. So we just start shortening that eating window. And then therein lies the ability for the body to clean itself up
Good.
as that fasting window gets a little bit longer.
I totally agree. I try to stop eating between 5:30 and 7 because
That's great.
I actually feel better. You
Yeah.
do feel better. You sleep better too, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
You do sleep better. And a lot of times people don't realize that if you have ineffective sleep based upon a meal that was taken in too late and or an inappropriate meal or something you drank late, you disturb your sleep patterns and that sets you up for failure the next day because you're going to go back and look for those quick fix things that are going to drive your dopamine and make you feel better or give you quick energy. And they're going to most of the time be processed foods or sugars, So you're right. Sleep is one of the things that is probably underappreciated.
Right. Yeah, and it's so important restoring your body. And I know before we got on camera, we mentioned hormones and how do you feel about hormone replacement? Do you think there's benefits to it? Or, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've been fighting for female health care for about 24 years. I mean, I've been in practice that long.
She
And
started when she was 12, just to let you know.
and it's like it it is it is so imperative. And as time goes on, we are now starting to see some of the major institutions, even the American College of Osteopathic Internal Medicine physicians, they are starting to talk hormones from the stage because there are so many benefits, not just to women with female hormones, but to men with male hormones in terms of cognition. That foggy brain, that CD player that's starting to skip, and the recall that's not quite there. Hormones play a big role in brain health.
Mhm.
Hormones plays an immense role in bone health for both males and
Yeah.
females. And the first 5 years post menopause, women lose a significant amount of their bone density unless they're doing everything right. And that's, a more alkaline diet. That's going to be the right supplementation. That's going to be the right resistance exercise and hormones if they have the opportunity.
Right.
Hormones also play such a huge role in cardiovascular health. When do we see cholesterol just start to rise like crazy? And that is when we go into menopause as women or menopause as men. We all go through that change of life. And
Oh,
it's at different times.
but men don't like to admit that. So,
It's
yeah,
it's true. I mean, it's
but it's a
funny. We
part of
kind of
life.
it is.
Absolutely. And it usually, oftentimes it's the women that bring their men to the
That's
doctor
true.
because they wait so long and they think, well, I'm just getting old. I'm just getting old. I'm just getting old. Well, no, we can fix a lot of those things with hormones. Hormones are antidepressants for both male and females. When estrogen declines, serotonin like goes to sleep. And in males, testosterone is a brain hormone that is an antidepressant and it plays a significant role in the sleep wake cycle.
Right.
So, as far as morbidity, the length of time we suffer on earth or the things we suffer with, we can diminish those significantly with the right balance of hormones.
So it sounds like hormone replacement and balancing your hormones is a really important part of longevity.
I think so.
Absolutely.
We've really and caveat context, we're talking about bioidentical hormones as compared and contrasted to, the group of synthetic or fake hormones that just don't hit the receptors right. But with
Right.
longevity, what we've seen is in practicality, there's such a connection with the immune system. And so we're able to do some testing to determine the immune system's age of people. And it's not unusual at all to see people in their 60s see having a decrease in their immune age to in the 20s. That's very common. It sounds almost unbelievable, but it's
Right.
really not. It's normal for us. And so I think as a society we're aging way too rapidly,
Right.
and hormones are a significant part of that.
Well, it just makes sense because you think of all the messengers in your body, and it's such an
Yeah.
important part to every system in your body.
It'd be
And
like having a business without being able to communicate with emails.
Right.
right?
Cellular messengers.
That's right.
Exactly. So, can you share some healthy habits that our listeners can put into action in their lives? Just a few things that if somebody were to say, I got to get back on track, what would be some suggestions that would be some things that they could put into play?
I think start off with maybe for me a couple things. I think every day that you don't move is a day you're getting closer to rigor mortis. So just make a commitment to at least walk every day. I mean, it sounds crazy, but a lot of people don't think about it. But if you can even give yourself like a weekly goal of like 70 minutes of
Uh-huh.
walking, I mean,
Okay.
it sounds almost simplistic and small, but nonetheless, it's wisdom to failure proof your goals, especially when you're starting, right? So
Right.
just 10 minutes a day of walking. And I think committing to having one healthy meal per day, committing to going to bed 30 minutes earlier. And then I think this other one may seem a little bit odd, but it's not. how about committing 15 minutes to just shh, be quiet? I'm talking no social media, no voices, no nothing. Just be quiet. How about get
Right,
outside and listen to the wind blow? I mean, these little basic things like this, I mean, we do them. I mean, more than
right.
that, but they're helpful.
Yeah, and I would add on top of that just a few things, like I said earlier, it's like just begin to label read.
Yeah.
And if you can't understand what you're putting in the cart, it's time to put it back on the shelf and put in the cart what you understand and you know to be healthy. And of course, if sugar is one of the first five ingredients, put it back on the shelf. It's going to put that little spread around the middle because eventually we're going to become insulin resistant
Yep.
because sugar is designed to make you enjoy that and go back to the market and buy it again. So put it back on the shelf. And then a meal prep. Even if it's, if you can only do it every 2 weeks, just get it done so that it's there. It's either in the refrigerator for you to grab and go, or it's in the freezer. And then decrease the time at which you eat late at night.
That's a big
Because
one, isn't
that's
it? Yeah, it really
absolutely,
affects everything as you
uh,
process the food that you've eaten.
mhm. Yep, yep. And then remember that your stomach is the size of your fist. So that if we're and legitimately, I mean, it can expand to the size of a basketball or baseball or whatever you
Not
put in it.
good.
No.
It's a huge reservoir, but it's really only the size of your fist. So if we eat smaller meals and don't overeat, and then with each meal, if we will learn to chew our food, I say chew your food and chew it until it's soup, you might discover some really neat or new flavors that you didn't even know existed in what you're eating.
So take your time and really be present with your food and enjoy it because a meal can be enjoyed if you slow down and pay attention and put your phone on the cupboard and don't look at your phone and actually talk to the person that you're eating with.
Imagine that, right?
Imagine
We,
that.
we've sometimes seen that when like on Friday nights we have date
Date
night
night.
every Friday
Uh-huh.
night. That's what we do,
That's
which
wonderful.
which I think is another tip for people if you're in a relationship. Please do that, right? But
Uh-huh.
it's amazing. We see people sitting across from each other, looking at their phones, not talking, and that's a tragedy because and I think not just the minimalistic nature of conversation and interaction, but the stimulus that electronic action creates in the body is at that pace, it's not healthy for humans.
Well, like you said, even my mom and dad always went on a Friday night date night too, so that's good advice.
Yeah,
Just people want to be heard and seen.
they do.
And if you're with your partner or a friend, looking them in the eye and really listening really strengthens the relationship and it's good for both of you.
Yeah, we've seen a decline in that, haven't we, over the
Yeah,
course
we
of
need to
time,
go old school on that.
Yeah, and it's like I get it. Electronics are awesome and technology is amazing. There's blessing and benefit there. But if we lose the ability to communicate, because it's not just verbal, because we've always been told that nonverbal communication has more value as far as interpretation goes, right? And
Right.
so we lose all that, and poor us at that point. What have we created?
I think we've created a lot of people that are depressed, and
Yeah,
I think there is a sense of hopelessness in a lot of people,
Mm.
yeah,
which, every day we wake up, we can change our habits, we can have something to look forward to, and we can turn this around.
And I like what you said. It's like people like to be seen and they like to be
we
heard.
do.
And so if you're sitting at a table with someone that's like looking down at their phone, you feel totally dismissed and unimportant.
It's
Exactly.
interesting, like in our I don't want to call it a practice, but in our business, because we're not practicing, we're doing it, like that word freaks me out.
Right.
But ultimately, the greatest compliment we get to the point is I felt heard or they listened to me.
Wow, that's a huge
Big.
compliment.
That's what
You
you
couldn't,
gotta have.
yeah, you couldn't
Good
get a
things
better
happen in
compliment.
trustworthy. No, no, and when you get a trustworthy relationship going on, good things happen.
Right. Well, that's wonderful to have that partnership on a whole person level. And really, a lot of people don't experience that when they go in for healthcare or wellness. And it's so
No,
important to be your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional health, your habits, your hormone. It all is part of the picture of you.
we couldn't agree more. And I think that not, I mean, we're not smarter than anybody else out there,
Oh, I
but
think you're pretty smart.
but I mean, granted, we're gifted because when we worked hard and we're gifted and called, right? I get all that, but I think that we care, and people don't really want to know what you know as much as they want to know you care,
That's a good
Exactly.
word.
and
It's so
that's the
important.
truth. Yeah, and that's important.
It is. So I looked up your books online and I saw one, The Narrow Road, shifting gears a little bit here.
Mhm.
Daily Infusions of Hope. Can you tell
Mm.
our listeners a little bit about that?
That book was actually written in honor of my mother, my adopted mother, who read the Bible every single day until she was blind and passed that, on to her children. And also in honor of my grandfather, who was a minister, and he used to write to the family on a
Mhm.
regular basis just to keep the family inspired. And he called it, he sent the message out to dear ones. So when he passed, I asked him if I could continue writing in his honor. And he was like, Of course. He's like, Nobody else in the family is going to do that. Would you please do it? And I was
Yeah.
like, I would be honored to do that, to just continue, spreading the gospel and to continue to infuse hope into a world that desperately needs it.
That's
No,
beautiful.
just little bite size, one page infusions
Okay.
of just an encouraging word with some wisdom and faith and
Hope
love
bites.
and hope bites. I like
Oh, I
that.
love it. Yeah,
Hope
that I
bites.
saw that and I'm like, oh, I'm all about giving hope
Yeah.
and healing and it's couldn't be more perfect. So I wanted to mention that I saw that. And how can our listeners gain more strength? Are you proponents of using weights or supplements, or is it a combination of all of those things?
You have to have some level of resistance training. There's just no way
Okay.
around it because
Okay.
how are bones built? And how do we avoid something like osteoporosis, which frankly shouldn't exist in one person anywhere ever in the world? Well,
Okay.
we pick up things, we move them around, even if it's our body, right? And so when
Right.
the tendons, which are attached to the muscles, pull bones, the
Mhm.
bones move the body, right? So how do you instill that the bones are going to have to always be thick or grow is you have to pick things up. So we are big proponents of some sort of resistance training at least 3 days a week, if not more. And that doesn't mean
Right.
you have to go to a gym. You can. You could do bands, body weight exercises, dumbbells. It just find out what you like to do that has resistance attached and do it. And then, of course, as my wife said, supplementation is important from the standpoint is our nutrient density today in our food supply, Mary Beth, is lacking. So you have to supplement anymore because when you do pick something up and you do trigger maybe a muscle breakdown or something like that, the body's cued immediately to start regenerating that thing and repairing it. And
Right.
how does it repair it? It infuses the area with micronutrients, which drive cellular processes to bring about repair. So, it's the whole system again. And so, I'm like, the more you move, the more you live, the less you move, the closer you are to rigor mortis. I'm like,
Right.
you just move, man.
See, I love yoga because you're
Yeah,
holding your body up. You don't, need very little equipment. It's relaxing. There's usually a meditation component to it.
yeah.
And so it's just those simple little choices of finding something that you enjoy and
Yep.
regularly doing it for your health.
Absolutely. And I would add on to that, it's, the mind is light years ahead of the body. And if someone is sitting at home and sitting on the couch and saying, I'm fat, I'm worthless, I'm weak, I don't matter, I'm
Mm.
old, I'm this, I'm that, giving all the reasons why they can't take the next step towards healthiness, I'd say we've got to change our mindset and start giving strength to the mental capacitor, changing how we're thinking. It's
Yep.
like, I am strong. I am healthy. I am going to make the right choices. I am going to put my shoes on and I am going to get to the gym or I am going to get to the yoga studio and start participating in things that are going to make me healthier and strong.
Right. So, as far as like habits and do I don't know if it's right, but I've always done the 80/20 rule. So I do have days where I allow myself to have something that I know is not good, but 80% of the time I try really hard to stay on track.
Well, so would you say that you have a cheat day?
I would say I have a few a month. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is good.
So this, I've been a competitive um bodybuilder in my years. I've won the USA's in 2005
That's
and back in the
incredible.
day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. One of the things we always used to say is, I can't wait till my cheat day. I can't wait till my cheat day. But in my mind, that always kept a piece of shame or guilt, or
Mhm.
there was something there. So instead, in our practice today, we say, okay, let's change the word cheat into, I'm going to have a choice day.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
going to go and I'm going to go to the restaurant and I'm going to choose to have, maybe it's macaroni and cheese, whatever it
Right.
is that tickles your fancy and you just want to see how it tastes,
Uh-huh.
instead of creating some sort of mental jargon of cheat in the back of your mind. That, I mean, that just doesn't hold a good connotation. It's like,
Mm.
I'm going to have a choice day and then the next day I'm going to get right back on the train. It
Right.
makes it kind of makes it like enjoyable instead of like something that could potentially be shameful or set you back.
Yeah,
Well,
and we're always like,
sometimes, oh, I'm sorry.
no, I
Sometimes
say,
it's when you're invited to a party
yeah,
Hmm.
and someone else has cooked something decadent that you normally wouldn't eat.
Hmm.
So I would allow myself to eat it even if I know it wasn't the best because it's still enjoyable.
exactly. You can't, I mean, you said the best thing you could have ever said right there. You made the choice, even though it wasn't
The
greatest in
best.
the world.
Right.
But that's the way we got to live. And that takes that shame component off of that. And then, just I think over the course of time, people, if they know what choices to make and they understand the pros and cons of those choices,
Mhm.
they tend to make better choices,
Right.
even as they're encouraged to make better choices. And, we're not ones to say it's okay to make a bad choice.
Right.
We're to say, we wouldn't tell our kids that. We wouldn't tell our sporting. We wouldn't go out there to, like, if you were a coach for a team, you wouldn't say, now, listen, little Johnny, today in this game, and the rest of you, as a matter of fact, I want you guys to give 80%. I mean, we'd lose our job, but
Right. Right.
there is in life, those areas and times you come up with that, like you mentioned, that you want to make the choice that you're comfortable with because you're comfortable with the consequences, good or bad, and I
Right.
think that's freedom, right?
Hmm.
Hmm. So, do you have any upcoming classes or any other books that you'd like to share, or any final words about what you have going on?
Yeah, always got something going on. We've actually there's a movie coming out that we did last year. It's going to be released hopefully any day now. It's called Wealthy Soul. So people can be
Okay.
looking for that one. It's a story about a guy who is homeless.
Okay.
And there's a story behind everybody's story. So just to kind of little appetite there. And then we've got a book coming out. It's the newest one. It's coming out any day now. It's called Authentic Longevity. And we really kind of poured our heart and soul into that one with everything that we know. And the idea behind this was like a legacy book, like
Right.
first edition. As we know more, we'll do a second edition. So we got that. And then I think we got our monthly webinars that are free. People can always jump
Okay.
on there. They're the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Central. And that's still all available. And all those notifications will be on our website at Sherwood.tv.
Oh wow, you two have been so busy and you're
Yeah, a
helping
little bit.
you're helping millions of people. So all exciting stuff. And I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you both taking the time to help our listeners transform their life and give them some hope. And I'll put your website in the notes so people can go and watch your free webinars and learn more from you. And thank you both for being on the Healing Soul.
Well, thank you so much for asking us to be present with you today.
Grateful.
And I'm looking forward to your new book, and I'll put that link also in the podcast notes. And then if you've got like a link for the promo for the movie also. So
Okay,
it's
cool. We'll
exciting.
send you the trailer.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So
Yeah.
I always pick an intuitive heart oracle card, and today's card is Death and Rebirth. End to the old way of doing things. Begin a healthy new routine. Form new habits over the next 21 days. This is the perfect time to initiate needed changes in your life, death and rebirth. And every day we wake up is a clean slate to start over and to make those healthy changes. And I want to thank every soul listening. I appreciate you. Hit the follow button and share this episode with a friend. And know that God loves you, and so do I, the healing soul, empowering wellness and oneness. Thank you.